Okay, my man Judai found this for me. It is what it is. Rules of modern dating and understanding women. It's complicated. Now, you're going to see an odd mixture of admittance and lies by these guys as they try and paint their servitude as good. So we'll get into the very beginning.
Why do men feel obligated to give women a better life, and why do women still resent men despite this?
That's an excellent question because he didn't ask if it was true. He just put out a truthful statement and asked, why are we like this? By the way, beware of guys with ball caps.
I think that it is not only the social and biological responsibility, but also the moral responsibility of men to provide a better life for all the people that are in their families.
So it's biological and it's social and it's moral that men should be a bunch of slaves to other people. Okay.
In their community, and I don't think that that doesn't extend to women, and I think that women having a problem with that is them being brainwashed by society, telling them that they have to be more.
Wow. So this is biological, guys, but women are brainwashed. Why would you need to brainwash someone if it's already in our nature? You see that?
Than they are, and I think that there's more than enough room for women to also contribute, and I don't think that there's any reason.
Uh, Yes, there is room for women to contribute, but why would they? You just said it's biological and it's social and it's moral. It's moral for men to be slaves to women. It's moral for women to hate men for their kindness. Tell me, why is that moral? And where's the advantage biologically to having women being resentful for men taking care of them, of the goodness of their hearts? Right. But above all, why would they contribute? Right. You're admitting that they don't have to.
For people to have a contentious view on it either way.
Why should men,
People shouldn't have a contentious view on this. So men supply women out of the goodness of their hearts. Women despise men for it. And there's nothing contentious about that. Right. Another ball capper. Here we go.
embrace masculinity to serve a society that seems to hate them?
Well, we still got to defend the country. A lot of
That's a nothing burger. That's a non sequitur. Defend the country. So men have it bad. Men aren't just to have it bad. We're being treated by sexism. And since that's bad, we'll just say we got to defend the country. Why do you have to defend the country if the country's against your best interest, dude?
guys are out there now, and women do a great job in the military too. But traditionally, it's been the men in combat situation, combat.
Traditionally, it still is. It's not just tradition, it's mandatory. So you're lying. Women aren't uh, great in the military at all.
Training and combat situations. So you got to be masculine. You want to win the fight. We'll say it like that.
So you want to win the fight. So how is it winning a fight by being a servant? So society treats you like dirt. Join the military that treats you like dirt. Kill other men, and then come home and be treated like dirt. See, this is gibberish from these clowns.
You got to train and win the fight.
Why have men been tricked into thinking that it's unmanly to advocate for themselves?
Unmanly to advocate for themselves.
Yeah, like his brain is working and it won't come out with the right answer.
In other words, men are expected to sacrifice.
Yeah, we'll answer it in a Christian perspective. When Jesus died on the cross, he sacrificed himself to save everyone.
That's gibberish. That's gibberish. Dude, by the way, I know this is a bit non sequitur for me. But if you listen to sermons, we're all born into sin. How can we all be born into sin if Jesus Christ already wiped it all away? So don't even bother with Christianity. That is gibberish. This is a non sequitur. This is a guy who just doesn't come out, yeah, we're treated like shit and it's good. Because I'm gonna lay down. I'm a ball cap wearing lay down. Dude, look, I'm losing my hair. Just show it. Anyway.
What makes a man weak?
What weakens a man is no sense of direction, no sense of actual goal, no sense of purpose.
No sense of purpose does hurt people, but that's true for both genders, right? But what he's saying is no sense of direction. In other words, lack of status. Mr. Pink and Yellow would jump right on this. Lack of status. That's what he means. That's what purpose translates to. Men being nobodies, low on the totem pole. That's what he means.
That weakens every man.
What makes a man weak?
Yeah, let's hear from the girls, right?
I feel like if you let a lady or a younger lady run over you, that makes you weak. But if you like leading and stuff like that,
leadership is serving the women anyway. So she's contradicting herself. She's saying, you're weak if you let a woman tell you what to do, but you're strong if you let a woman tell you what to do, right?
that should be good.
Are men more weak because they simp for women or because they don't fight for their rights?
We love a good simp, but
You love a good simp. I thought you said that made men weak. Thanks for admitting that, lady.
ain't nothing wrong with no simp. You want to be a simp, that's cool. And if you want to fight for your rights, that's cool too. But you got to simp for your girl.
You want to fight for your rights, but you want to simp for your girl, the ones that are taking your rights away. These people contradict themselves constantly. I can understand it perfectly for the women. The men are just pathetic.
Are men more weak because they simp for women or because they don't fight for their rights?
A little bit of both, but I think more simp for women because men become yes men around women, and that's the problem.
How can you change women's sense of entitlement without first changing men's sense of obligation?
Oh,
Excellent question. And look at this poor dude.
That's a tough question. Nah.
I can't answer that.
Maybe equality would help, being both equal. But
Wow, maybe equality would help. So you're admitting that men aren't equal to women. Thank you.
I have a conservative, the guy's the head of the house, but the female is very important. Equal, but when it comes to some decisions, I think the guys should make it and not be afraid to make it.
Wow. We're not equal to women, but it's up to us to make these decisions. In other words, you lead, right? You lead. In other words, you serve. You make all the tough decisions. And if there's any fallout, you suffer it because you're the little slave boy. That's pathetic.
Be the leadership role, patriarchy.
Does a strong man take abuse or does a weak man take abuse?
that's both.
That's both. How can it be both? Are they ever trying to square a round hole?
I would say a weak man takes abuse. I would say a strong man might handle abuse, but they don't take it.
See, dude, a strong man, he doesn't take abuse, but he handles it. What's the distinction, dude? Right?
They might accept it, but they will deal with it. Whereas your framing of
What's the difference between acceptance and dealing with it and taking it? This is complete gibberish.
accepting it alludes to me that they're not going to make any steps towards correction. And so if you're not making any steps toward correction, that's weakness.
Really, but You just said that it's moral that men serve women. So why would you take steps to correct it? Are you suggesting, ball cap dude, that men should be immoral?
Not having any boundaries of your own is weakness.
So why are we told that real men are made from suffering?
From suffering.
Yeah.
Well, suffering will give you character, you know?
So you're saying women lack character then, since they'd never have to suffer. Okay.
Suffering isn't a bad thing.
So at what point does
Bullshit. No one wants to suffer, whether it builds character or not. If it's not a bad thing, how come women don't do it? How come women don't turn around and say, I want to build some character? Time for me to suffer.
masculinity turn into masochism?
Good question. Wow, that is a tough one to answer.
I told you guys, there's a mixture of lies and truth. This guy is actually being truthful. He actually admits he doesn't have an answer. Why? Because the answer is simple. He's like, I'm a little slave boy. I'm going to accept it. He'll never say that outright.
Oh, if you're defending someone that is, in a vulnerable position, I don't think you're a masochist. But if you want to beat people up all the time, then you might be crossing that border.
You mean like joining the military and winning the fight? Though we don't know what the fight is, because it all depends on who's the enemy of that day. Right?
Say it like that.
That's more of a history issue, because there's this paradigm within history that like soft times make hard men and hard men make soft times.
Yeah, I've heard that horse shit before. It's basically an excuse to say men have to be stoic and take abuse, and it's better for society. It's moral, right?
I'm oversimplifying, but you would understand what I'm saying. So I'm not sure that concept is as nuanced as reality, but I understand where it's coming from.
At what point does masculinity turn into masochism?
By the way, before he answers, guys, masculinity is a term men have to reject 100%. It's like Mr. Pink and Yellow again says, it's a nebulous term. It just means something that's society, women like and want. It just means validation from the opposite sex, right? And notice it says it's complicated. There's nothing complicated about this. I'm breaking it down simply. It's only complicated if you want to try and square the round hole.
When it gets weak and it allows abuse.
How can men's issues ever be heard if we're told that real men don't complain?
I think the
He's struggling.
aspect of real men don't complain is again an unnuanced issue of dealing with what's the antiquated views of masculinity, and I think that standing up for yourself is actually
So the new view of masculinity is standing up for yourself, but you have to serve women even when they hate our guts. Okay.
more in line with true masculinity.
How can men's issues ever be heard if we're told that real men don't complain?
That's true. Because when you open your mouth, women have a problem, people have a problem.
Yeah.
So, gotta kind of tough it out.
Yeah, just take it like a little bitch. Okay. Hey, that's accepting your abuse, guys. It's not taking the abuse. There's a fine distinction.
Why is it that men will reluctantly accept their fate anytime an injustice is pointed out? That's just the way it is, or it's just part of being a man?
I mean, we're programmed to think that that's how a man's supposed to be, but it's not. But
Programmed by who? By who, dude? Who would do the programming?
it's just the way it is.
So then why do people say that it's biology?
It's not biology. It's more like
There you go. Why do people say it's biology? We're programmed, but it's biology. But it isn't. But it is.
a psychology thing. You know, it's more psychological than anything.
Yeah, but psychology comes from biology, right?
Why would women appreciate the sacrifices men make if men are going to continue making those sacrifices regardless of how they are treated?
Because they have positive self-awareness, and they understand that not every choice that is made is an easy choice, and that some are beneficial to the group and not an individual. And if they have some self-awareness, they'll recognize that.
Yeah, but since all men are treated like this, how is it the group? Like you're talking about 50% of the population suffering needlessly. So how is men taking abuse on a mass scale good for the group?
That you're witnessing something that is not that's not selfish, it's selfless.
Isn't the dating crisis just a symptom of how men are treated in society?
How is it selfless to not fight for your rights and the fight for the rights of other men? You see other men suffering. Joining men's rights would be a self-sacrifice, and it would improve society. So this guy is saying up is down. It's opposite day, everyone.
Maybe.
The dating crisis. Yeah, back in the 50s, men.
Man, listen to the, oh yeah, man, the dating crisis, yeah, the beating up, the abuse, what can you do, man, when you're just a slave?
Were raised to be a certain way, and so were the women. And now that it's 2025, there's different expectations. So
Why are they different though, dude? Yeah, they're different expectations, that's true, but why did they change? Was it more like lizard man hypnotism? You know?
I'll just answer it like that.
If men continue sacrificing for a system that doesn't value them, what will happen in the long run? What's the breaking point?
Yeah, you could have a breakdown in the family. You could have some men they got to be strong.
There's a breakdown in the family. Yeah, women aren't interested in the family other than ruling it. A lot of women are proving that they don't really want to be in a family. They like being by themselves. They don't want to bother getting pregnant. They want men working for them and out of sight, not of mind. That's true. Right. But hey, what are you going to do, man? What are you going to do?
To think men are strong enough that there will be no breaking point, that they would just hold the line and do what's necessary. But in the hyperbolic kind of like worst case scenario situation that might be being posed here, there's an argument to be made that like if you believed in,
it's not hyperbolic though, dude. It's happening now. You guys use the term modern dating, so it's happening.
If you believe in a repressive culture, then you might believe that men would restrict women's rights to, say, something similar to Sharia law. I don't think that would happen in the West at all, but I think from the framing of the question that's the through line of what the idea is, right?
Yeah, but why would you can restrict women's rights, but why don't you talk about freeing men of their burdens? Wouldn't that be the first step? Wouldn't that be far more positive? Why is the first thing that comes to your mind is restricting their rights? Now, the fact is women, they need their privileges restricted, not their rights, their privileges. Real equality has to be brought in.
So,
if the civil rights movement had said it is what it is, would anything have changed?
No, the civil rights.
There you go. He's admitting it. So what he's saying is he doesn't want things to change. He likes things as they are. He doesn't like them, but he's going to take it. Oh, sorry, accept it. Accept it, guys.
Dr. Martin Luther King was
Yeah.
very well versed, and he stood his ground, and he paid the ultimate price. So, no.
Oh, he really did sacrifice to make positive change. And you're against that.
But it isn't what it is. Sometimes you got to stand your ground and keep pressing forward.
So why weren't black
But you don't believe that for us guys. That's why you don't believe in men's rights.
people or women told to move or improve when fighting for their rights, but men are?
I think that's where it started becoming like a tender subject where you can't say certain things and stuff like that because
This is a non-answer, by the way, guys. He's not answering the question.
you don't want to kind of offend the wrong person. And that's the problem where we just don't want to offend anyone. But I think at some point we have to still be ourselves and offend. You can't please everybody, right? So that's just my perspective.
Would a women's advocacy group tell them to leave the country rather than change laws?
No.
Well, there you go. Thanks for the honesty, dude.
So why are we telling that to men?
That's true. We shouldn't be telling that to men at all. Men kill themselves way more than women do. I think we should be more understanding with our men.
Why do
You see, that was a nothing burger.
men complain about the way men are treated and have harder lives? At the same time, they want to keep men in roles that oppress them.
That's a sense of duty issue. Men have a sense of duty to uphold what we have been told we're supposed to do. But I also think it's valid that men should be able to complain about things that are valid complaints.
Well, how about changing? Not just complaining, changing them. Right. And all you just said is, men's abuse is a tradition, and we got to uphold tradition.
I think that every person who has a point of view, period, should be able to express the ups and downs of that point of view.
What are men complaining about if they don't want to improve their oppressive conditions?
Good point.
A lack of gratitude.
The women's liberation movement fought for and won voting rights.
A lack of gratitude. Sorry, guys, I got to back that up and hear that again.
You, period, should be able to express the ups and downs of that point of view.
What are men complaining about if they don't want to improve their oppressive conditions?
A lack of gratitude.
The woman.
Oh, so in other words, men would take these oppressive conditions as long as women gave them a pat in the back. Okay, this guy's a complete loser. Most men are, I have to say.
The women's liberation movement fought for and won voting rights, workplace equality, reproductive rights, and protections against gender discrimination. Why haven't men organized to fight for their equal rights to women?
I don't think men understand that they're being under attack right now. Right now, they're kind of blind to it. They still haven't been awoken to the fact that it's true, man is being attacked right now.
Okay, if you're awake, dude, how come you haven't joined the MRM then?
Harriet Tubman once said, "I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves." How does this apply to modern men?
Same thing, you could tell a man.
Yeah, but this isn't modern. This way it's been for men from the dawn of history.
It's like I said, you tell a man, stop, be a man and, overcome but nobody wants to listen. And why we don't sit there and take the time and just be like, listen, how's your day going? What's going on for you? Are you okay? So it's, we just brush them to the side.
Why would your oppressors listen to you? They always say this like, yeah, people aren't listening. When you're fighting for your rights, you don't ask them to listen to them. You demand your rights.
How many men don't even realize they're being oppressed?
90% of them.
Why is it that men will reluctantly accept their fate anytime an injustice is pointed out? That's just the way it is, or that's just part of being a man?
I don't know why some men do that. I don't.
Yes, you do. You just, at the very beginning, you said, hey, it's biological, it's social, but it's also moral. So you did accept it. You're accepting it now. You're lying. What I say, guys, this is a mixture of truth and lies. This man is now told an outright lie.
Why can't men seem to fathom that things could possibly be any other way?
I understand the way that the pointing of these questions is going, and I do understand where you're coming from. I do think
he can't answer. That's why he's talking gibberish now.
I think that there is a large hill in front of men today, but I don't think that hill should be viewed differently than any other challenge that men have ever had to face in history, because overcoming dumb
But you're against climbing that hill, dude. You're against climbing that hill.
cultural norms is not worse than death or genocide or any of the things that people actually had to deal with that were real problems in the past.
Oh, I see. So, men's abuse and oppression, that's just trivial, man. Everybody else's in the past was, I'm going to validate those, right? But not ours. Right? There's that hill that's high that we can climb, but I'm against climbing it because, we're so unworthy of equality as men.
Weren't men sent to die in war? I mean, wasn't that kind of like a...
Conscription was the thing for sure. For sure. Yeah.
It still is, dude.
Men were definitely sent to war without their consent. That was definitely a thing. That's the male role, is to be the protector.
But that's not protecting. You live in the United States, don't you? You sound like a Yankee. How many attacks on American soil has there been since World War II? None. So why are you going on about protection when it comes to conscription? If someone's being conscripted, they're being forced to take this role. So you're for men's oppression.
And I understand that might be sexist to some people's point of view, but I think
it is sexist, period. It's not a point of view. That's what it is. You either want equality for the sexes or you don't.
Just denying basic biological principles.
Well, there you go. There you go. Biological principles. So he's just saying, dudes, it's all biology, man. Women have been brainwashed, but it's biological.
Why are we more concerned with navigating the problem than fixing the problem?
I think we should stop navigating the problem and start fixing the problem. But the real issue is that men think that they are not being oppressed, but they are actually being, and they don't know about it.
Nicely said. Nicely said. I'm going to back that up to make sure I heard it right. Let me just back this up.
Fixing the problem.
I think we should stop navigating the problem and start fixing the problem. But the real issue is that men think that they are not being oppressed, but they are actually being, and they don't know about it.
There you go. Men think they are not being oppressed. Or actually, those guys are quite well aware that they're being oppressed. They just rather be lay downs. Right.
How are men being oppressed and why don't they know about it?
Men are being oppressed because women have taken over everything. I mean, they have rights, they have legal laws, they have the law backing them, they have judges backing them, they have the whole public backing them.
And they don't have rights, dude. They have privileges. That's how you frame that.
Just feel entitled.
The women really got together and were pretty tough. They were pretty strong. And there's strength in numbers.
Women got their...
Holy shit, that was nothing. Like these guys, this is the only guy so far spoken any kind of logic to it.
Their rights is good for them, but I think men should get together as well. Men just feel that, they don't have rights.
No, this is where you fell off the framing. Women having rights, they have privilege over men. And that isn't right. And that isn't good.
They're just supposed to be the perfect people, but I think it's men are being abused too, and they must come together. No,
not abused too. We are being abused, period. Women are not being abused.
But I don't know how long it's going to take for men to realize, that it's high time that they come together.
Well, dude, you don't realize it 100% yourself. So it's going to be a long time.
The gay rights movement led to legalization of same-sex marriage, anti-discrimination laws, and increased social acceptance. What victories has the men's movement achieved in comparison?
Men's movement have achieved nothing. Men are being abused left, right, and center.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's high time we have a movement at all. We don't have it.
If women and LGBT activists successfully fought for their rights, what excuse do men have for not organizing to fight for theirs?
We don't.
I guess the idea with that men don't feel like they need to organize because they already have what they think they need, and it would almost be a waste of time because they would just be arguing. The argument from the feminism side would be, there's no reason for you to be out here. You're just arguing to keep women oppressed, and because men don't view themselves as oppressors of women, the entire issue is a non-issue, and it just seems hyperbolic from this side.
I feel like, okay, so men's excuse could be them not having enough leaders, enough people.
I'm glad he admit that men, it's an excuse. It's not a reason.
That they're willing to take the initiative to be like, all right, let me listen to that person because he clearly knows what he's talking about. I really think if we had more of that, then yeah, we'd see, that change.
When it comes to these manosphere creators, if strong masculine men are supposed to show leadership and take action, why are they all talk and no action? Where is the leadership fighting for men's rights?
Man, yeah.
These questions totally bamboozle these guys who want to be truthful, right?
All right. I really feel like, these red pill groups, I think a lot of what they're doing is to benefit on themselves.
I think the manosphere...
Hey, that's good. That's good. To benefit themselves. I agree 100%. There's a lot of these manosphere channels which they would gain enough status to get their women, and then they would bail. He's right about that.
Is mostly a trolling effort by people who want to be famous online. I don't think that that's an actual advocacy group for men. And I think that most men who actually have self-security and positions of institution aren't worried about what the manosphere has to say or what...
He's right about that, 100%. Men who feel that things are going well for themselves don't give a shit about other men. He's 100% right about that.
What the feminists, or I'm sorry, I don't mean to say feminists, but the female side of that argument has to say about the manosphere because it doesn't connect with them.
Who do you think resists this message more, men or women?
Women.
Would you be surprised to know that men push back more when I'm advocating for them?
I would actually not be surprised by that. I would say that that's in
If you're not surprised by that, why did you say women then?
line, because men don't want to appear to be victims, and that they want to say, hey, I'm fine, don't worry about me, I'm strong. And I think
it's funny. You'll notice, dude, that men are fine with saying that if they're fighting for anything else, like for the race, right? That's why the civil rights movement worked. So what's the difference? Why are men willing to fight in unions and for their race, but not their gender? Because men love their oppressors. We love women. That's why. The civil rights movement. Black men do not love white men. That's why they were able to fight against them.
I think that is in line with what we've mostly been talking about here, that ultimately the battle has been one-sided because there's only one side that feels like they need to battle.
If men can't be seen as victims, wouldn't that be the very thing that makes them the biggest victims?
I can definitely see where you're coming from a dehumanization argument in terms.
I can see where you're coming from, but I can't say I agree or that makes sense or that's 100% true. Because I just can't deal with that.
Of cultural history, that actually is a really, really good point to be made. But I also don't believe that the issue is inherently deep enough to cause the fissure that has been created in historical issues. Does that make sense?
So,
should people accept that life isn't fair? And if so, why bother fighting for any social change?
There's a difference between unfair and unjust. Machiavelli said that once. He said, people will put up with unfairness. They won't put up with injustice. That's what the civil rights movement was all about. So that question was framed wrong because men aren't looking at unfairness. We're looking at injustice against us.
Well, life isn't fair, and you got to take some, but sometimes you got to stand your ground and move forward to change things. Change isn't always bad.
Because if you don't fight, then nothing will change. I mean, you got to fight. You got to stand your ground and overcome adversity.
Then why aren't you fighting, dude?
The generations before us done it. You know, we got to keep it going. I mean, it's always going to need some change. We always got to need something better.
How do we decide what's worth fighting for?
I feel like we all have a soul, and deep down in your soul, you
More gibberish. More gibberish.
kind of know what's wrong and you know what's right.
Feminists didn't just complain about discrimination, they protested, lobbied, and forced legal changes. Why do men think complaining alone will change their circumstances?
But women, the feminists didn't complain about it. They lied about it. This is what this guy's getting wrong.
It won't. It won't. It won't. Not making a reel, not making a video. We got to stand together, organize ourselves, and come correctly.
Good answer.
Harriet Tubman once said, "I freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves." How does this apply to modern men?
Or even the men of the past.
The question implies that men across our culture are victims and enslaved to the conformity of the
Well, dude, aren't the anti-male laws apply to all men?
conversational structure and approachal structure of modern women. And I think they just need to be freed from that box because...
Oh, I see. Women are hypnotized. But it wasn't modern women who got us here. It was women of the past who fought tooth and nail to take away our rights as men.
Most people within reality aren't so pigeonholed into specific groups. There's a lot of nuance, and if you just got out...
There isn't a lot of nuance, dude. We are pigeonholed. We're men, we're the bad guys, and we should be oppressed.
Your comfort zone and talk to people, you'd probably realize that.
So, if men fought to liberate women, why aren't women fighting to liberate men?
Not their job.
Oh, I see. So it's not women's job to fight for equality. I thought they were all about fighting for equality, dude. Which means they never were fighting for equality. Not their job. I thought you were a moral person, dude. I thought you were a moral person. Aren't these women morally obligated to do what's right? Any guy who goes on about morals is a liar.
Why was it our job to liberate them?
It's our job.
Why do we have a job but they don't?
That's... as a traditional man with 3 young daughters, that's...
Okay, so, yeah, as a traditional man, in other words, you're a little slave. You got some validation from some woman, and she allowed you to produce children. The same children you'd probably throw in the pond if that woman told you to. So you're a happy little slave.
That's our role. That's what it is. As men, we are protectors. And
go shut up. I'm sick of these losers. Sick of these. Notice the ball cap wearers were the worst. I don't know what it is with ball caps and men, but when I see a guy wearing a ball cap, I say, there's a loser. 2 cases in this video alone. Okay. See you around, guys.